Hey, what's up guys? Rideshare guy here, going live right now on Facebook. I want to talk a little bit about Uber's new destination feature, or destination filter, or whatever you want to call it. And this has been out now for a few weeks in the Los Angeles market, available to every single driver. Finally got some chance to try it out since I've been traveling and doing some stuff over the past few weeks, been trying it out over the past week or two. And basically I just want to talk a little bit about, well, first of all, what it is and kind of my experience, since I just spent the past few hours trying to use the destination feature and basically get paid to drive home. So I think that's how a lot of you guys are using it. It's to basically, if you guys aren't familiar with the feature, first of all, what it allows you to do is set a specific destination on the Uber driver app, and then you only get rides headed in that direction. And really, I think they should call it more of a direction filter, because what it really does is gives you rides headed in that general direction. So for example, I was in Pasadena, which is northeast of like the core area of LA, and I was trying to get back to Long Beach, so sort of southwest. And I set my destination as Long Beach, and ideally you would get a ride, one single ride, like one long UberX or Uber Pool ride or whatever it might be, from that area, you know, all the way north, all the way south. And if you're an hour away, you get one ride there. It doesn't quite work like that. You could still get rides like that, but you know, what happened with me and kind of my experience today. So basically I signed on to the Uber driver app at 2 p.m. and at 2 p.m. I was in Pasadena, and I have a screenshot on my Facebook page that I can share in the comments of this video, and you guys can see a little bit, so it's a little bit better visually on the map. And basically, I started in Pasadena. I set my destination for home in Long Beach, and the drive, if I would have just done it straight, it would have taken about 50 minutes and been 30 miles or so. So basically, right, you can imagine, hey, you're at the end of your shift and you want to drive home. 30 minutes or 30 miles, 50 minutes is obviously a lot of unpaid time, right? That could cost you anywhere from like 10 to 15 bucks in expenses or whatever it might be, depending on your car. If you can get a paid ride headed in that direction already, obviously that's a big benefit to you. So I logged on at 2 o'clock. It would have taken me 50 minutes, 30 miles, and the first few rides I got were actually on Uber Pool. So I set my destination for Long Beach, and I got a couple short Uber Pool rides. So I got one over in Alhambra, and kind of what I started noticing and figuring out that these rides weren't exactly headed towards Long Beach. They were sort of headed more in like the general direction. If I kind of like made, you know, if I basically described it, it would be sort of like a V, right? You're kind of not going to go completely the wrong way behind you, but you're sort of heading in the general direction towards your destination. And so right now, that's sort of how the destination feature works with Uber. I got a few, I think I got a $6 Uber Pool ride, and then I waited and I got another $7 Uber Pool ride. So they weren't super short Uber Pool rides, but I was getting rides sort of headed in that general direction. And after an hour, the other nice thing though, I wasn't waiting. I was a little bit worried with this destination feature, because you can imagine that now you only get rides headed in your direction. That might mean that your request volume, right, gets cut in half, or maybe even less, since now all the people that are headed the other direction, you're not going to get any of those requests, right? I was a little worried about that, but for me, I was out driving on a Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m., kind of in the suburbs of LA, and, you know, sort of getting plenty of rides. It seemed like I wasn't really waiting more than 2 to 3 minutes. I had a couple Uber Pool rides, but I wasn't really making much headway back to Long Beach. And then I finally got a nice Uber X ride, and it was 25 minutes. And so that, I think, ended up being like a $15 or $17 net to me as a driver. And I'm basically, you know, went all the way from, I think I went from like Alhambra or Monterey Park all the way to Linwood. And so now I'm about half of the way home to Long Beach, and then I got another Uber Pool ride. So I'm definitely kind of, you know, that's sort of my experience. I've been talking a little bit. If you guys have any comments or anything like that, definitely leave them below. I'm really curious to hear, first of all, how people are using the destination feature. The most obvious way is kind of if you live outside the city that you work in, if you live in the suburbs, or if you live in the suburbs of LA or San Francisco or wherever it might be, and you kind of want to commute in. Obviously, you don't get paid for that time, but the destination filter, you're allowed to use it 2 times a day. So you can set your destination once, and then if you get a ride, that counts now. So if you don't get a ride, you can reset the destination, change it, do whatever you want. But as soon as you get a ride after you set your destination, that now counts as 1 time. So you can't use it more than twice a day. So it's really sort of, I think, based around that to and from for those people who are commuting, or at the end of the night they want to head home. And there's also distance restrictions too. So for example, if I'm in LA and I try to set my destination as San Diego, you can't do that, but you can set an intermediary destination like Orange County, for example. Now, feel free to chime in if you guys have any experience with your destination filter, and let me know what it's been like. And one thing I will say though, I basically kind of got half the way home and I sort of got stuck. I got another Uber pool ride, so I think I ended up doing 4 rides over a couple-hour period. 3 Uber pools, 1 Uber X, and I sort of got stuck in like this triangle between Compton, Gardena, and I think Torrance or something like that, which is typically not really a high request volume area. And I was sitting there for 5-10 minutes, and then I eventually just started heading back to Long Beach with the app on. Didn't get any requests because I was in this area where it was pretty low. Just in general, you don't get a lot of requests in that area, and that's sort of how the destination feature, what it is really predicated on. It needs lots of requests coming in, lots of volume, so that it can match you with someone headed in your direction, ideally. And talking a little bit about how much money I made. So like I said, right, this ride would have taken me, if I would have just driven from Pasadena back to Long Beach, it would have taken me about an hour basically, right? And there'd been 30 miles. I ended up working for about 2 hours and got halfway home, right? So it would have taken me it did take me another 30 minutes. So I'm sitting in my driveway right now, if you couldn't tell, in my car. I wanted to record this video while it's all still fresh in my head. And basically, I worked for 2 hours, right? And in that 2 hours, I did 3 Uber pool rides, 1 Uber X ride, and my total net was $30. So $15 an hour, which is not great, but not bad for like a Sunday afternoon, just flipping on the app. And the cool part though, is when you think about it, right? It would have taken me an hour to get home. I worked for 2 hours and then drove on my own a half hour. So really think about it like I worked for, if you think about those 2 hours, I made $30, that's $15 an hour. Not great, not bad, but since it was gonna take me an hour to drive home anyways, it was really like I only worked an hour and a half, right? Since my total travel time, and I'm hoping that I'm not going to mess up the math here, was 2.5 hours, it would have taken me an hour anyways. And so really I worked only for an hour and a half, and in that hour and a half I made $30, right? Hour and a half, $30, that's $20 an hour, right? So if you think about it like that, that's kind of where really cool parts about the destination features start to come in, right? Because you can really make more money and really increase your net hourly rate, right? Where in the past, you guys have probably all experienced this like I have. You're sort of at the end of the night, you're waiting and waiting and waiting and hoping for that ride. You want to take that one last ride to get back to, you're hoping for a ride in the direction of your house, and then it never comes, or you get a ride and it's the wrong direction, right? And it's super frustrating. Obviously, the destination feature is here to help that. So that's pretty much my initial experience. I'm going to be testing out a lot more. I've done a lot of kind of local rides here and there. This was my first big one where I tried to do more than an hour or two, because typically when I drive, I just turn the app on and I'm lucky that I don't need to go drive an hour into the city or drive an hour back. Typically, I can kind of work locally and get plenty of rides. So definitely curious to hear your experience. Let me know in the comments, and if you guys have any questions for me, definitely let me know. The destination feature isn't available everywhere. I think by now it's available in almost every major city, so definitely check it out. And if you're outside the suburbs, it may not be available, and if you're in a smaller city, it may not be available, but I do think it's probably coming to everyone sooner rather than later. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and this live video actually, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions.